Astronomers. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate seeing everybody in person and in Zoom land. We got hopefully a great meeting for us tonight, but if you haven't already signed in, please do. If you don't have a raffle ticket, or not raffle ticket, but a door prize ticket, please make sure you get one. It looks like George is the keeper of them right now. If you don't have a raffle ticket, though, I do encourage you to get one of those as well. It goes for a good cause. Georgia June raffle prize. It's a C-Star equipped, small, very portable Dob, and I look forward to one of Star Sense, not C-Star. There's word, yeah, when the 70s come out. I look forward to one of you being able to carry around this lovely portable telescope so that I can stop doing it. All right.
Also, the coffee is ready.
Yes.
Coffee's good. Thank you, George.
Yeah, so thank you once again to George for setting up the refreshments for the meeting. He's got a donations tin, so please feel free to avail yourself of either the coffee, the cookies, or not the contents of the shelf. Yeah, sir.
As an incentive to buy a raffle ticket, you could easily take that star sense off of it and put it on a bigger telescope that's not computerized.
Absolutely. So a number of people in the club have already done just that. Richard, fair enough. Yeah.
And if you don't want to wait for the raffle, these telescopes are on sale for $175 now, which is way less than a star sense.
That's fair. It's great technology, and it comes with the code that's proprietary and associated with that. But yes, absolutely a great opportunity. I love my big old Star Sense Dob. I'm trying to learn how to be a less lazy astronomer when just actually use my my non-electronic assistants. But man, it is so convenient, especially for outreach. All right, we got a relatively full presentation agenda for this evening. I'll stand over here so that those folks out in Zoom land can hear me a little bit better. First off, I'm going to go ahead and we'll go over reports from the various officers and committees. We will discuss. I don't think we have any old business, but I got a few items of new business for us tonight. We should have time for observing reports, and then we've got a great presentation by Gabe on the Messier objects and the Messier Marathon, which, as a reminder to everybody, this is a great time of year to do it. In fact, it's the only time of year to do it. The most ideal opportunity is a clear night during the East Coast Star Party, which we'll talk about a little bit more. But I encourage everyone who's thinking, what should I do on Thursday night? Because we don't have everybody there. We don't have public night. What should I do? The right answer is, of course, stay up from dusk till dawn, looking at the 110 most beautiful objects in the night sky.
Happens to come along the way with it.
Yes, that's fair. My plan may well be to just stand near Gabe and let him move my C-Star and look at everything.
I'll sit next to you and you
Star
can
Sense,
watch.
That, I mean, it works. It's a great cooperation. All right. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to our illustrious vice president to discuss the schedule.
Okay.
You
A non-scheduled announcement. I do have ID cards for the newest members here. I don't think we have any new guys that don't have them here. I did a poll earlier in the room. By the way, there's more people in the room this time than there's out in Zoom land. You notice that? There's only 4 Zoomies, 3 Zoomies. Oh, Sean's out there. 4 Zoomies and us. Zoomers, yeah. So I got the ID card. What's that?
Be okay, but get rid of that line.
Check.
There you
Okay. And I will share, like Sonny and Cher. Nobody remembers Sonny and Cher, do they?
We do.
You do remember Sonny and Cher, Bill?
Better remember.
All right. I will share the Night Sky Network event. It's right here, the event calendar. Okay. It's nice and big, so you guys can see it out there too. We were at the meeting. The first Thursday of the month happened to be the 6th, which is strange. There was a corporate landing. I just wanted to mention this. It's kind of funny. I'm the one that tries to schedule. I get all these requests for things. And this one lady sent me a message. She wants to do a star party, or no, a STEM night for corporate landing, middle school or elementary school.
No, middle school.
And I said, well, I'm very sorry we can't do it during the club meeting, but maybe if you can schedule your STEM next week. Oh no, we've got it all planned out. So Anyway, that's kind of my life on scheduling. So I'm very involved with this. Saturday, Sunday comes up this Saturday at Elizabeth River Park. And why do we call it Saturday, Sunday? Everybody in here probably knows this, right? Why do we call it Saturday, Sunday? Because on Saturday we look at the sun and it's a day. There you go. There we go. Now, Garden Stars is 11, the 11th of March, and George does a great job with that. And the weather's going to be great, right, George?
That's right.
Now, the total lunar eclipse. We haven't, or do we have a meeting place yet?
We have a tentative. It looks like the planetarium staff. Oh, I'll say this.
Okay.
So I've been reaching out to the folks at City of Chesapeake. They got back to us. Ultimately, they don't have the staff to support an event like that at that time in the middle of the week. However, they are still willing to let us use their facilities. The folks at talking to the Parks and Rec folks today, it looks like Bell's Mill Park, which is close to the planetarium, right behind it. It's got fairly wide open horizons and good parking areas. Porta potties, so that we need to go in the middle of the night. I think there's a water fountain there, so if we want to go, I just got that information, so I'm going to work with Rich to get the insurance stuff and get the park application going, so we can get that set up. We'll see how it goes, if that is an option for a potential recurring observing event, if the location looks good. If it's too bright due to nearby stuff. What's that? It is up on a hill, but it's also kind of in the heart of Great Bridge. So we'll see what the observing conditions like. It'll be fine for a lunar eclipse. We'll see if it's good for the stars.
Light pollution's no big deal.
But on that subject, since we're already on the topic, I am looking at trying to find us a place where we can make some sort of deal with one of the local organizations to get some more regular and recurring access to a dark sky for observing, ideally one that isn't quite as dewy as Northwest River Park. So more to follow on that. If anyone's interested in helping search, let me know. And hopefully I'll have something more on that by the next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Historical note, the first 2 years of Saturday, Sunday, we had it at Bell's Mill Park.
Really?
Then they moved it to Elizabeth River Park, which is much better.
Did you guys hear that out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Much better because it's larger still.
It's a nicer place. Very much.
It is. Okay, good. All right. Well, I will change the location and give you guys the exact address as soon as we get that confirmed. The eclipse will happen in the middle of the night, midnight or so. It'll already be going on. It'll begin at 11:57 and end at 6 a.m. So the start of it, I believe, is 10 o'clock or something like that at night. So
Right at midnight, actually.
well, I mean, when the moon first starts,
Yeah, it's like 11:47, it looks like.
penumbral shadow and all that. Okay. Anyway, plan on going to that. I hadn't thought about making it a public thing, but I think it's going to obviously be a public thing. The next thing I talk about is probably not going to be a public thing, but I'll let you guys decide. Right now, I've got observe the, I put 8 planets, but I guess we can't see Saturn anymore. Or
9.
yeah, well, Pluto's too close to the sun anyway. But nevertheless, let me see if I can
I'm
find.
holding out.
Where's my
holding out.
back key? I don't have a back key. This thing's in the way.
You go back.
I'm trying to,
It's nice.
but the bar's in the way. All right, here we go. Close that out, I guess. huh?
There's a chat too, some questions apparently too. So,
Oh, I got some chat things. Where's the chat things?
I think you just moved out of the way.
There's nothing in the chat.
Okay, 3 chats. Here we go. Who you calling lazy? Oh, that was way back when Bruce, we were talking about somebody being lazy. Okay.
Sounds like Bruce isn't.
Who you calling Sumis? It's you guys are too lazy to come to the meeting. That's what I'm calling. Okay, now, okay, challenge accepted, right?
You can write it off.
On behalf of the Back Bay Amateur Astronomers, we are happy to have anyone who wants to join us in any way you see fit.
Well, I wouldn't say if it was a real public meeting, but you guys are all veterans, right?
The IRS rated it was 75 cents a mile. Not at all.
Okay, I've got the observe the planets planned. I guess it's not on the calendar yet. And that is, when is this? I forget what day it is. I think it's the 15th. And that's one of the days, I think it's the 15th, maybe it's the end of this week, is the greatest elongation of Mercury, greatest eastern elongation. So Mercury is as high as it's going to get for the next, I don't know, 45, 80 days. Then it goes to greatest western, which is in the morning, early in the morning. But this one's early in the evening. And so we'll be able to see Mercury for sure. I've seen it a few times as it looks like a little bright star. So that's real good, instead of looking at through the haze and trying to get it in binoculars and stuff like we did last time. Okay, coming up, and I apologize for not having it on the calendar already. Cornland Skywatch Northwest River Park is coming up the 22nd. Bring your dew shields because it is pretty dewy out there, especially this time of year. It's going to get worse too. I don't know what Chaos Spring is because I don't remember putting that on there.
That's
Star,
Stanton River Star Party.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And then the Spring East Coast Star Party, which we're going to hear more about at the meeting. I won't steal anybody's thunder. That's coming up starting on the 27th and runs through the 30th.
Did I misspell ESCP?
East
Star
Star Coast Party. Isn't that right? We'll fix it. We'll fix it. Star Public, I can fix it, but I don't want to do it now. Star Party Public Night is going to be the 28th. That's Friday night, traditionally, when we invite the public out. And it was a lot of fun last time too. Okay, and then Night Watch and Chip Oaks is already going to be. So there's really not a Night Watch because we are at Chip Oaks. So.
That's true.
But we already have it on the calendar, so it's an event anyway. Okay, wow. You understand all that? Next month, April, Malibu East Elementary School is having a STEM night. A lot of schools have STEM nights. So of course we need a lot of participation. And the club meetings on Thursday the 3rd, Star Party Outer Banks Party. That's the one.
That's the North Carolina statewide Star Party. It's on different nights of that general area in different North Carolina parks.
Okay. And there was one setup that was canceled statewide, and there's a Star Party Birdie, depending. I think that's the one I need to approve.
They're all part of the same thing.
Oh, it is? It's the same deal? Okay. All right. And Garden Stars again, Astronomy 101. The weather was terrible last night, but the weather is going to be great on April 8th. I have it on good report. DCES, whatever that is, Elementary School STEAM Day is on the 11th, and Saturday, Sunday, the 12th again. And what else is coming up that's real cool? It's Corn Watch normally. York
County
York County PR?
Parks and Recreation.
Is that what it is? Okay.
My best guess.
All right. Probably. And then it runs concurrently with Skywatch, so that's going to be hard to go to two things. And then the following week is Corn Watch and Night Watch at Chip Oaks. Any questions on the event schedule? Did everybody hear about the Star Sense being a good deal, because now you can't buy it separately, but you can buy the whole telescope. Or you get a raffle ticket and buy it for $5 and put it on anything you want. And what did I do with did I stop sharing? Okay, stop share. There we are. All right, you guys ready to rock and roll? All right, I'll turn back over to Jeremy, who has the minutes.
I'm actually going to turn it over to Rich for a treasurer's report.
All right.
And to have him pull out his flail to get people who haven't renewed their membership.
If they haven't renewed, they've been deleted.
I did notice that we're down below 200 again.
Whose rug rat was that?
Oh, I didn't update this. So we actually did. Well, I'll get into it, but we have a lot of money, almost 16 grand. So in the month of February, we actually went up $348 from the end of January. And we actually did spend a lot. We like $1,200 went out and a little over $1,500 came in. Most of that was East Coast Star Party money because people are paying, and we haven't expended much out. One of the big expenses we had was Bruce bought all the raffle tickets, so that was $700. And then our other major expenses were like some apparel, mainly raffle prizes for the picnic, paying the $125 to reserve the picnic venue, things like that. So money was going out, but we actually still went up because we were getting a lot of money in. Yeah, membership wise, we are currently at 100. I didn't update this, but we're at 175 members. We ended January at 212. So a lot of people got deleted out who did not pay dues, and actually just dropping whatever that is, like 50 people, is actually better than normal. Usually it's more like 60 or 70 people get deleted out at the end of the year. We had about 50. And we did get 4 more members this year, so or this month. So doing good on that front. As always, I don't have much else to say unless anyone has any questions. I will say that the scholarships are now fully funded. We had some donations and Georgia June ticket sales, so we got enough money to pay out all our scholarships this year. Ready, so. Any questions? Or I'm shutting it down.
I move to accept the treasury report.
Been moved and seconded to accept the treasurer's report and thirded. All in favor? Any opposed?
Nay.
Minutes, treasurer's report passed. Next, I'm going to thank you, Rich. And once again, in front of everyone, thank you again for your presentation last month. I was inspired and reminded of why I started loving science by seeing how much science you've done and how much you obviously enjoyed it and appreciated it. And it inspired me to think about how I should be living my life better.
I was hoping you would inspire me to do some of the stuff that I said that I need to do in my next steps, but I've done none of it.
Oh, that's coming. It's just this past month. I feel like we were just here last month. Sorry, just yesterday.
Although
So-
I have received over 100 more images in February and I still need to process. They keep piling up. I've been just downloading them all.
Fair enough. Well, I will send you notes to inspire you to continue. Next up is our secretary's report in the form of the minutes. Gabe, I will remind you that you have to balance your time between your presentation and your minutes.
was going to do this. I know that I was the person that was really lobbying against doing this, but since I'm sure people can only tolerate me speaking for so long.
I move that we forego the minute.
I'm moving that we just
I don't-
waive the minutes.
We've never had the secretary do it.
I don't really want to accept it from the secretary, but I will.
Okay, I'll talk about Rich.
You can second it.
I'll talk about Rich's presentation, okay? I'll give it a bridge with Rich's, so
There-
Rich doesn't feel left out, but then.
So it's been moved and seconded by ambiguous people to dismiss with the reading of the minutes. Is there any in favor? Any opposed? All right. Motion passes, and we will post the minutes online if we haven't already.
Already are.
Excellent. So there we go. All right. Next up, we're going to hear from our Alcor, Mr. Bruce Powers. He'll probably also tie in his East Coast Star Party report or update.
Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Sir, we can hear you now.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
I'm serious, Bruce.
Okay, can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so I'm gonna lead off with the East Coast Star Party schedule that was referenced before. So I have printed copies of this schedule always at the registration tent, and basically a synopsis of all of this is also on the East Coast Star Party website up here at the top. Okay, so the event kicks off on March 27th, Thursday at 2 p.m. We've got all night coffee, and I listed the Messier Marathon there if you want to try that on Thursday night. On the 28th, Friday, we have our public observing night. Local sunset is at 7:24. So really our public observing really can't begin until about 7, and it'll run till 10 p.m. I noticed on the website there was mention of reviving the spaghetti dinner. I put that on there at a time to be determined. Again, we have free coffee all night. And in the event of rain or clouds, I'll do my astronomy beginner presentation at the Chip Oaks Conference Center for any of our public attendees that still show up in the rain. There have been some. And I'm going to try to be a little bit better about posting the TBD times.
Oh, we might have just lost.
Okay.
We lost.
March 29th on Saturday, 5:30 p.m. is our, I'm sorry.
We lost you briefly after
Okay,
you
anyway,
said
so,
updating meeting times.
okay. So, on March 29th, Saturday, we have a cookout at 5:30 p.m. and a hot dogs, hamburgers, and sodas. And that'll be a potluck at the observing site. We'll have our raffle prizes. I've bought about $700 worth of raffle prizes, and the drawing will be after the cookout. Again, all night observing, free coffee all night, and you can do your Messier Marathon again. Stay up all night again. All right, and on March 30th, Sunday, everybody pretty much bugs out by 11 a.m. Okay, so general information, your $60 is due by March 19th. I believe, Rich, can you let us know how many registrations we have at this point?
19,
It was up to 20, I thought, last.
maybe 20.
Okay,
One that's a double registration. So
okay. All right, so talk it up amongst your friends. And then the rest of this, I'll is basically a repeat of what's already on the East Coast Star Party website, which looks like this. Okay, so this is the awesome East Coast Star Party website created by Sean Lozier. It's got lots of great pictures of past Star Party events, and everything you'd ever want to know about this event is all there. The registration is up here, second from the top on the pull down. And yeah, so come on out. We all have a great time. I would like to offer some perspective on why I think we may only have 19 registrations at this point. So I received several emails from people around the state of Virginia, stating that, hey, you schedule the East Coast Star Party the same week as the Staunton River Star Party. Yes, we know that. And, comments were, well, when Kent Blackwell was running this, as opposed to the current administration, we were able to, go to the East Coast, the weekend before, and then go out to the East Coast Staunton River, the following week. So, yes, that worked for the Hampton Lodge campground, which is a private campground in Coinjock, North Carolina. In contrast, we are now doing our event on a Virginia State Park site. So, big shock, other people want to use the state park. So when we scheduled this, they had no availability in April or May, and so we decided to do it in March, and also do the Messier Marathon. And that came up as a good decision from making that March date. So in October, we'll look at that deconfliction of the Staunton River again, but Jeremy told me this week there's basically 24 weekends where we could conceivably have a Star Party, the new moon weekend and maybe the weekend prior throughout the year. And so at Chip Oaks State Park for the fall, just so you know, we are in direct competition for new moon weekends with both the Pamunkey and Nottoway Indian tribes, who apparently also like to celebrate new moon weekends with festivals. So in engineering, this is classically known as the overconstrained problem. So I offered to you all that we do try to deconflict with Staunton River as much as possible, and we'll try to do that in October.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think it's going to be. I know there are some people who we were going to lose. I mean, we knew that when we made this decision, but
yeah, Yep.
I think it was the best choice with what we had available.
Yep.
But still, we should be all right. I mean, like I said, there's always a lot of people who register right at the last minute. There's people I know who are going to register who haven't, and we really just need probably 5 or 6 more to be at least break even on the event. And so we're not far off from where we need to be. And I know there's people who are going to sign up who haven't. So
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be too big of an issue. You know, I figured
Okay.
like Ray Moody and there's probably some other guys like that who we're not going to see.
No, we won't.
Yeah, yeah,
So, okay. So, but we'll try to deconflict in October with Stone River.
yeah.
All right. So, shifting gears from East Coast, I want to let you know what's going on with the Astronomical League. This is the February 13th blurb that I get from the Astronomical League. Please know, for all of you that look forward to your reflector, the reflector is digital only for March of 25, and the paper version will resume in June. Okay, so they're putting a new company in place. I have not received my digital March version yet, so I can't tell you who won any awards yet, but I will definitely let you know in April. Okay. Astronomy Day is May 12th and September 27th of this year. Astronomical League has lots of resources for that on their site. Tomorrow at 7 p.m., the Astronomical League is doing yet another Astronomical League live presentation with Mr. Bob King. Take a closer look at the night sky. Anyhow, if you want to check that out tomorrow night at 7 p.m., they give a lot of great talks. And here's a shameless plug for the Texas Star Party. But I would also point out AstroCon 2025 is in June of this year in Bryce Canyon, Utah. This looks like a really great venue. I've been to Bryce Canyon. I highly recommend it. And if you get to go hang out with astronomy people at that would be a bonus. Okay. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Oh, Utah.
Yeah, I just want to mention, I completed the lunar observing program for the astronomical league, but due to the way the deadlines work, it won't show up in the reflector till June. I encourage anybody to do that program. It's pretty easy and it was a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed doing it. So
Okay.
encourage people to do that.
Did you submit it directly to the?
I got my pen.
Oh, awesome! Well, congratulations. On well, I'll save that note. It's the one item of new business I've got in mind, but that's awesome. If anyone has a program coming up that is working on finishing a program and would like to submit it, if you submit it, inform the coordinator. One option is, of course, to have the pin sent directly to you. If you have it sent to the club, we're happy to present it to you so that you can receive the adulation of your peers.
Bruce has changed so much.
Never seen Bruce look so good. This is a huge improvement.
Okay. We'll talk about that tomorrow. All right.
Say something.
Great. Then would you like to speak about the scholarship committee?
Sure, do you want from here?
Either one you'd like.
Just so people know, we get any folks here tonight?
Yes.
Okay, so, but let me give a quick rundown of some of it. Okay. My name is Ben Loyola. I'm the chairman of the Back Bay Amateur Scholarship Committee. And scholarship is based on academic scores of GPA, your SAT or ACT score, as well as an essay, as well as a teacher's recommendation. We have this year we have 3 scholarships we're giving out. One is the club scholarship, which is like $2,000. One is the Georgia June Memorial Scholarship. Georgia June was a member of our club for many years and gave so much and outreach and public service, and she left us way too soon in life. So there's a scholarship in memorandum for her. That's $1,500. And then we also had another member, sadly, that passed away very young in life, Nick Anderson. And that one actually was supported by the city of Virginia Beach, and that was up to $5,300. So there's like $9,000 almost of scholarships going to be given out this year. this organization, the Back Bay Amateur Astronomers, is incorporated. It's a non-for-profit organization, 501c3. So you can send money to the state and feds, or you can write some checks to us and get that deducted because it's a nonprofit organization that's tax deductible. Also, as you do outreach and events for the club, I think the federal mileage rate's up to 70 cents per mile. So if you're in itemized taxes, you can write your mileage off and at a pretty high rate. So that's what's going on right now. The scholarship is due cut off on May 1st. And we have a committee, George Reynolds, right? And Matt, is Matt here today? So a couple weeks after May 1st, we'll get the PO box and get all the folders together, and we'll score them based on the GPA, their ACT, SAT, as well as the committee evaluates the 500-word essay, as well as the teacher's recommendation. That all goes into the equations, and we rank them 1 to whatever, how many submissions we have, and that's how we give out the scholarship. So committee's open. If anybody wants to help or join us, we meet basically in our office for any time, flexible. Come in the conference room and go through the stacks and tally up your score. And then we invite the recipients to come and present and read their essay, which is pretty amazing. These students are incredibly talented. I mean, they got NASA research guys and gals and doing some amazing astronomical work, or just an amazing passion for astronomy. So it's really a pleasure to do that. You have a question?
I was just letting you know, I've said this before, but I was the recipient of the Georgie Dune Scholarship on my senior year of high school. So like, just saying that like, there's lots of amazing talent who are applying for these. Again, it's just like what Ben said.
Yeah. So it's amazing for our size scholarship, even with 200 plus members, to be able to give a $3,000-4,000 worth of scholarships every year now for over a decade is an amazing feat. So a testament to all the great people that contribute. Get your employers to contribute. Some employers have matching funds for nonprofits as well. So I encourage you to let your employers know about that too, and see if we can get some more money coming in. So thank you. Any questions?
How would somebody who's interested in joining the committee connect?
Just let me know. I'm on the website as a scholarship coordinator committee, and benito@loyola.com, or give me a call, and I'll email you once we're ready to do the review, and we'll open that up for review for about a week, and then we'll tally them all up and let the students know. So that's how it works. Okay, great.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right. George, I know you already said coffee's ready. Do you have anything else you want to talk about from the refreshment committee?
T-shirt sale, got some extra large, double extra large, large, and we even have some East Coast Star Party T-shirts. And they are medium.
Excellent. So we have some good swag available. I'm going to go slightly off script now. We're done with the reports, but since we have a relatively large number in the room, which I love to see, including a lot of new folks and faces, we tend to be a club that meets a lot when we're doing our work out in the dark. So it's sometimes hard to get to know everybody. And I apologize for being focused on getting ready for the meeting. I didn't notice how many new folks we had coming in. So if I could just, I'm going to ask for one of those once or twice a year opportunities where we just quick go around the room, sketch out who you are. If it's your first time at the club meeting, welcome. Please introduce yourself so that we can say hello, but so you can meet some of the other faces. I'd like to start over there with George.
I'm George. I've been a member of the club for almost 25 years, and it's a wonderful club, wonderful, a lot of people to hang around with in the dark.
I'm Jeff Goldstein. I'm vice president, member since 2008, and always liked astronomy and like the camaraderie that we're having here, and also I do the event coordination.
I'm Michael Hall. I'm a member for a year, and before that I was a member for many years. I began in 1980.
Ben Loyola, member for a couple of decades, just love astronomy, doing it since a young lad in Miami, Florida. A home-based observatory and a little portable ETX 125 Mead, which I use for when we go on the field. But because I got my home observatory working, I don't get out much. I'm doing a lot of work on home-based observatory.
My name is Gabriel Dandrade. I am the club secretary at present. I've been a member since 2015. You'll see me outreach a lot. And you'll usually find me just, hang out, usually with either Jeremy or Ken Blackwell, where you'll just see me just blazing through, objects in the night sky, because I feel like that's my specialty when it comes to wielding a telescope.
He's actually faster than the star sets. Scary.
Definitely.
Richard Neiman, not a member for quite a year yet, was hanging out at, the Northwest River Park. Get-togethers for about a year before that. Upgraded my telescope twice in that time. Now, rocking the ball that you would have seen. Very proud of it. Really cool. And also, adapted the star sense to it, and as Jeremy says, it's great.
David Choldice, I've been with the club for 3 years. Prior to that, I was operator at Chamberlain Observatory in Denver since the 90s. Moved here, I built my own telescopes. Here with Compton I'm Jonathan Sheets. I've been in the club about 7 years. I'm with small average scopes, 8 inches, but I push it as far as I can.
It does.
My name's Eddie Paris. Been in the club for about 5 years. I was a former secretary. Jeremy took over and love astrophotography. So if you have any questions, maybe I could help you with it.
We're glad to have Eddie back after recovering from the surgery. So welcome back.
I'm Kurt Kerr. I've been a member for about 2 years. I've always been interested in astronomy, but trying to get more into it as I get older and, get to leave home and stuff. So trying to catch as many meetings as I can.
I'm Jeff Thornton. I've been a member since 2018, former secretary. Before I handed it over to Barry. I've been interested in astronomy all my life and was never able to really get into it until I retired. Lived most of my life up in Washington, D.C. and Goddard, Greenbelt area. Came down here and was able to put my ETX 155 to work. I have some other telescopes as well.
My name's Keith James, and I'm brand new. I haven't been a member since any time. So,
Well, you're welcome regardless.
you
Most of the
can
size of the
start
audience.
join us, whether I actually attended meetings in the late '80s while I was still in the Navy, and then the Navy decided I needed to be in Cuba more than I needed to be here. So I went down to Guantanamo. I currently have just a Z6 that I like to use with no mount on it right now. I'm getting ready to put a new mount on it. And I've been hanging out at Northwest River now for several times. So decided I would come make it official.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you. Excellent.
Jim Sorensen, about 3 years, I guess now. It's gonna show up randomly, not all the time, so just different events once in a while, so not too much.
I'm Joseph Brown. I retired about a year and a half ago and decided I want to try to find something new I could learn. So I picked up astronomy. My main problem with learning astronomy is I like to be in bed by 9:30. That's it.
Makes winter the best time to be an astronomer.
Robotic.
Same time. Bad.
Gives you a couple hours.
Patrick Bartuli, I've been a member, I don't know, about 5 years, maybe at the same time you got here. I have way too many telescopes and so would it be at the East Coast? I might be here, I'm still trying to figure that out. But I have a 20-inch Explorer Scientific, it's a 3.6, F3.6, so it's manageable. Come over, take a look and see.
20 is three. Man. Very wide field.
I'm Irene, first time here, but I've been going to Stanton River star parties for the last 3 years. Just recently got a telescope like a couple of months ago. So I'm having to learn how to collimate. I haven't gotten it down pat yet. So it's a 10-inch star.
Very cool. Collimation, especially on a dog.
Yes,
Until
I
you,
now recognize you.
We hung out at the Star Party.
okay.
But at night, all you see is an outline, right?
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
I'm Mike Russo, member, I think around 3 years or so. I have been into astronomy my whole life. I have an 8-inch dog right now. I'm trying to get into binocular astronomy. Something that's kind of new to me.
My name's Ed Marciano. This is my second meeting. I don't know if I'm a member or not yet. I've looked to see the check clear and it's still not come through on my credit union, so someone needs to get busy with that thing.
I thought we did, but
Or
we'll,
I'm still at month one.
Well-
Next time. But I've been using a handmade telescope that's someone made from New Jersey for about 60 years. Had a lot of fun with it all my life. Just got a C-Stars 50 as my president. I retired from the federal government. Wow.
You had good timing.
Yeah. It's, I can't even go. Right. Not a good time.
I retired from the federal government too, I know what you mean.
Crazy.
I just started working for the federal government. Danger.
You're still working there.
Yeah. I'll check your email.
Every day is an adventure.
This is my second meeting. I don't know if I'm a member yet, but I got my. I'm currently working in college for my astrophysics degree and just starting out, so I can't.
Oh, wow.
Move up to Arizona.
Very cool.
And all I got is a 4-inch refractor that I got since I was 11. My dad gave it to me for my birthday. And that's fun.
It absolutely is a steep learning curve, even when the deck isn't pitching underneath you. But sounds like there's enough interest in getting started in astrophotography that maybe
training class.
get a topic together. So we'll definitely take a note on that.
Don't be like the guys on YouTube, every one of them's a millionaire, I guess.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, this is $7,000 camera, sure, everybody should have.
Well, everyone should, but not everyone. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Like 5.
We got anyone out in Zoom land feel inclined to say hello? I know we've already said hello to Rich and Bruce, Sean, and Roland. Would you like to say hello to the club?
I'm Sean, and nice.
You're in space. Sean is in space.
I'm sure I'll see you all sooner or later.
Elon gonna rescue you?
I can't hear that.
That's probably for the best. Roland?
I'm Roland, and it's great to be retired.
That is true. Absolutely true. And for the record, I'm Jeremy Mitchell. I'm for my sins, I'm your presently the club president of the Back Bay Amateur Astronomers. Recently retired from the Navy. Briefly, this was my sole focus. I'm now, as mentioned, a civil servant, so I may soon be back to this being my sole focus. But I would like to thank everyone for coming out, especially the new folks. It's great to see you. If you are a club member or have become a club member, or if I just haven't remembered to get your check cashed for you to become a club member, that's awesome. If you're on the fence, I encourage you to come out, join us at our events. Join us here if you decide you want to join us officially and formally. Great. If you just want to spend some time with some nerds learning and talking about astronomy and until we finally impress upon you and you join, decide you do want to become one of us, that's fine as well. That said, one of the great things that we do is a club is public outreach, not just sit in a room and talk about astronomy and astronomy related topics periodically, as well as sometimes a shockingly lengthy business meeting. But the public outreach events that Jeff talked about are fantastic. Kids and adults always love to see it. It's a lot easier than you think it is. Although if you're not naturally prone to public speaking, it is sometimes a really steep learning curve to get into it, but it's one well worth getting into. Not only because it's individually, personally rewarding, but because sometimes you get really cool swag. Speaking of, last month we gave out to the outreach awards to those that did some outreach or that we could prove that did some outreach. If you feel like you did some and I have not called your name previously and I'm not about to do so right now, please let me know so we can get that updated and get you properly awarded and rewarded. Every year they give a pin out, or we give a pin out for those who took part in the outreach events. So some outstanding folks, we're all outstanding folks. Astronomers at night, outstanding in our fields. Jonathan Sheets earned that pin for last year. So thank you very much. So there you are. And I don't necessarily know names and faces as well as I wish. Patrick Bartuli. And I didn't have enough in hand. Let's see. Jeff Thornton means I don't have to bring this to Garden Stars. Joe Brown. Or Jessica Brown, sorry. Two more. Wow. Gabriel Dandrade in the corner. Can I toss it? No. Yes. There we go. All right. I won't get you bend. And Richard.
Can't promise I'll pick it.
I'm just gonna hand you the cross. Thank you so much. I may have some backups from previous years, but I have to go through the list. But thank you, everybody. Another round of applause for all of our outreach participants. All right. Next topic is old business. I don't think I have any. Gabe, is there anything that we need to resolve from previous meetings that I didn't catch?
Not that I know of.
Then that's a no. All right, great. Moving on to new business. Oh,
shirts. You buy shirts for $15 a piece.
Okay, t-shirts.
Feel free to come up and get coffee and cookies anytime during the meeting.
Especially if it's while I'm talking. I need to be interrupted periodically. On the subject of shirt. Just kidding. On the subject of shirts, though, if anyone would like to, if anyone's in the mood to acquire some cool Back Bay Amateur Astronomer swag, if we do periodically make orders, you can go online and pick out what you want. I occasionally consider myself looking good in the color red, or at least less bad. So I ordered myself a golf shirt as well as a jacket. If anyone's interested in what those look like, George is modeling one of those as well. Yeah. So we've got that going on. A nice medium weight jacket that will make you blend in with the night, which may or may not be good. Stay off the roads. But there's a lot of options. And also on the subject of swag, when you go, because I know everyone's going to rush from here to go register for the East Coast Star Party because it's amazing. And we're going to have spaghetti at some point on Friday. Just not sure what time yet. It'll be dinner-ish. You can order East Coast Star Party t-shirt, which I have seen the design for, and it looks really cool. I was going to buy one. Now I'm going to have to buy a few more for my kids. So that's all great stuff. Also, on the subject of new business as well, we talked about the Astronomical League with a club of almost 200 people, with a lot of people taking part in Astronomical League programs and observing programs. You go, and as Jonathan mentioned, you do your observations, you can send it in. One of the things we can do, especially as a club of our size, is we can handle that internally. So, but that said, with 200 people, that's a lot of load on Bruce Powers. And while it is funny for me personally to put more work on Bruce's shoulders, that may be a bit much for just one. So I am putting together on his behalf and naming him the chair of a Astronomical League committee to assist in review of data analysis. When you go and you pull your observing reports, you can submit that to the committee, instead of necessarily having to go through the Astronomical League program coordinators, which can sometimes be a little bit tough to work with. So that is an option. Please relay that through Bruce until he names someone else to be the initial recipient, but that is something that can that might help expedite and encourage you to maybe not just throw your observing reports out into the great white ether where someone will tell you that your observing reports are inadequate, like the fox who had to submit his globular clusters in the form of haikus. So if anyone is interested in joining the Astronomical League Committee to help review those, please don't hesitate to contact myself or Bruce to get signed up and get that going. That is all I have, but I'd like to open the floor to any other new business. Okay, that seemed like long enough. All right, next, observing reports. Does anyone? I will go ahead and start with this. Last Friday, we got an email to the club account of some folks who lived out in Great Bridge that had pulled out their son's telescope and were trying to figure out how to put it to use, and asked me if there was anyone who lived near Great Bridge that could help them learn how to use their telescope. I asked, what kind of scope are we talking about, so that I could connect them to the right sort of club member. And if it wasn't somebody who lived about 10 miles away from me with a scope that looked almost identical to mine. So that's what I did last Friday night. We went out and pointed at several of the planets. Didn't quite get Mercury before it slipped below the tree line, but we got most of the rest that were in the great pseudo alignment, as well as the Great Nebula in Orion before everything else got clouded out. Do we have any other observing reports?
Last week, Jeff and Roland and I were at school for their STEM night, and Jeff had his star sense outside, and even though it was cloudy at first, it cleared up enough that he was able to see Mercury and Venus and Jupiter and Mars. He could point those out in the sky, and then he looked at some of them with the star sense. And I was indoors, Roland was helping me, and I had my little refractor, and on the gym wall, at the far end of the gym, I taped up pictures of Jupiter and a galaxy, and I said to people, "You want to see Jupiter? Look in here. Look at the galaxy. Look." That was fun.
That's awesome.
I mentioned it on the Facebook group, but my favorite thing is look for faint fuzzies, and was just trying to find stuff that was not too close to the horizon in my Bortle 6 backyard, and was very surprised to find one that actually looked awesome with that wasn't in the Messier list. The Hubble's variable nebula. It kind of looked comet-like with a sharp point, more like a triangle spread out on the other end. Found it was awesome, relatively small and bright because of that. Even at a magnitude 9. What do you use the first scope again? It's a 12.5 portable, but that'll be visible at a 6. It was that right.
Pretty cool.
I was out 2 coin lands ago, just had some fun with Sandy, Ron, and Mel. And had a good time.
Excellent.
Coin was a pretty good place if you haven't been there. They have a nice horizon there. It's about the same as Northwest River in terms of darkness.
How is it as far as dew?
I'm pretty well set up for dew heaters.
Oh, that's fair. That's true.
It's okay.
And hair dryers.
Yeah.
Bless you, sir.
Okay.
So this is, I believe, 2 Portlands. This is also 2 Portlands ago. It might have been the same one as him. Okay, no, it was before that. But for those of you who don't know, I am doing the Planetary Nebula Observing Program in the Astronomical League right now. It's actually one that a club member of ours actually founded. He lives out in Arizona right now. But most of them are NGCs and ICs, along with Messiers. But there was that night I was able to get Jonquier 900 in Gemini on the list. It's a 12th magnitude planetary, really, really small one, like half the size of the Eskimo for reference. And I honestly didn't think that even though this is Cortland, it's still not as ideally dark for like the really faint planetaries, and yet, but in my 10-inch dot, like with a filter, like there was this really small little fuzzy dot like in the field that was very obviously not a star. And that's probably the hardest planetary I've had to observe for the league so far. That wasn't just like completely stellar like in the eyepiece.
At that same point, Gabriel found a globular cluster low on the horizon. And I'm working on the globular cluster program that Bruce is working. I got 7 more to go, so I'm not.
1801,
Yeah.
AGC 1801. I remember that.
But anyway, I was really happy and surprised when you showed it to me. So I probably wouldn't have been able to see it at my 8-inch, but got to see his 10, so that was good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
On the 25th of February, I went out to Lambert's Point. I put up on a kind of a text message that I was sending. And I was able to photograph Saturn, Mercury, and the rest of the planets. It was just before I went down. The reason I went to Lambert's Point, it used to be a golf course. It's right on the Elizabeth River at Old Dominion University. And they have some tall hills. So I was able to get up high enough to catch Saturn before it fell below the horizon.
Okay.
So if anybody wants a good view of the western horizon, that's a good place to go. But
Is that a park?
yeah, it's park now. It used to be a golf course. But if you're going to carry a lot of equipment out there, you better bring a wagon because it's a long way away from the parking.
I bought a half series to suggest a golf cart, but I don't.
Yeah, you get a golf cart too, but you got to transport it.
No, that's fair. Okay, yeah, that's great. Any sounds like despite the amount of clouds we've had in the last month, sounds like a lot of good.
I'll put a plug in on our website. There's a section about the persistent imaging of Jupiter. And you can do that with any size telescope. So if you have a cell phone, you can put the cell phone right to the eyepiece. And the purpose of it is to provide as much coverage of Jupiter around the world so that impacts can be detected and reported to the European Space Group. And so if you're interested on that, on our website to discuss, how to do it, what to do it, and any aperture can pull it off. And it's persistent monitoring of Jupiter for impact detection. And there's a software piece that you can run that will analyze the imagery, and then it automatically sends it over a zip file and sends it over to the repository. And then you submit data, your name will get listed on the list of the hundreds of people around the world that are submitting data to it. So that's I can present on that sometime in the future because it's a pretty cool program. And then also part of the Astro League program is something that's also achievable because there's some very large asteroids that you can image with a very small scope. And it's just a matter of taking a 60-second image of a piece of the sky with the camera and submitting that information and reporting the asteroid points. And the more people that do that, they improve the orbital information of these asteroids as they come and go. And some of them are, what's called main belt out in space. But there are lots of them that are near Earth objects as well as potentially hazardous objects. So, and there are the Asteroid League observing programs for both those, the asteroid program as well as the NEO, the near Earth object. So anybody achievable, pretty much any size scope, because some are like 14th magnitude, 15th magnitude, 16th magnitude. So very achievable for a modest type of aperture. So
Very cool. That's good notes. Some thoughts there for a future topic. So.
Yeah, I got a few presentations.
Yeah. But speaking of topics, I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to Gabe for our featured presentation for this evening. It's going to be, I won't steal his thunder, but I will pull up his presentation.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Which I think steals his thunder.
I mean, you're fine. You don't have to worry about anything. All right. Can everyone hear me just fine out in Zoom land?
We hear you.
All right. So as he mentioned at the start, but tonight's presentation is going to be on the Messier catalog and about running a Messier Marathon. This is I'm sure most of us know, at least have a basic idea of what the Messier catalog actually is. So I'm going to try to keep the discussion on that a little bit briefly, but so that we spend most time on the Messier Marathon, because again, as Jeremy and then Bruce also mentioned, we are considering doing it for East Coast Star Party. And before I spoil actually what
Yeah.
Messier,
Can you
sorry?
share your screen?
Oh, hold on.
It'll come through in on the recording on we put it on YouTube. They'll be able to see your presentation.
Zoom on Jeremy's help. There, you got it. All right, 1 second. You see it now?
Yep. Awesome.
Okay. Let me just also just move this. Let me move that out of the way. All right. Can you see it? Can you see it just good? Is there like, do we need to adjust it or anything?
You're good.
All right. So without further ado, again, so once again, most of us probably know all this. Again, most of us probably actually observed most, if not all, of the Messier objects in the catalog. And it's the most famous deep sky object catalog in the night sky. It is first compiled in the 18th century. And then Messier Marathon is an attempt by astronomers to view them all in the span of one night. And which, again, I'll get into that in just a little bit. This presentation is mainly going to just focus on that, but I just also want to lay out some backstory just before we get into talking about the Messier Marathon in detail. I feel it would be a good place to start with the man who we need to thank for the Messier Marathon to begin with, Charles Messier, which, again, most of us probably know this, but I'm just doing this for the people who might not know. He was French, and he was an astronomer in the 18th century. He was principally a comet hunter. He was not actually a deep sky hunter. He was actually a comet hunter by trade. He was a member of the Royal Astronomical Society of Britain starting in 1764, and he discovered 13 comets over the course of his lifetime. And mind you, he's just like pointing a telescope in a random part of sky and just probing around to see if he spots anything out of the ordinary. And this is when optics weren't as sharp as the telescopes of today. So I think 13 comets for his time is quite impressive. But ironically, nobody remembers him for his comets. They remember him for the non-comet objects that he also was logging at the same time. Because as he was doing his comet observations, he kept finding objects, like these fuzzy objects that kind of looked like comets at a passing glance, but upon closer inspection revealed to be they were decidedly not comets. And so to avoid confusion, he started making a list of objects so that he and his colleagues could know, like, if they're roving the sky and they find something, they could be like, oh, we've already seen this. This is not a comet. And Messier himself only discovered 40 of the objects that would eventually become the Messier catalog. The rest have already been discovered by past astronomers or by one of his colleagues named Pierre Mécain. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, but that's the best I've got. Google was not helpful when I was trying to figure it out. But yeah, so he was this man had quite the interesting career. How he started as a comet hunter, and yet he was immortalized by his non-comet objects. Now Messier actually published. So it says here that Messier's full catalog included 103 objects. That was actually the third edition of the catalog that he published. First edition had 45, and it was published in the 1760s. And then the second edition, I think, had like 80 some. But as you might notice, there's 110 or 109 full objects in the Messier catalog, depending on whether you consider yourself a Messier purist or not. And the reason where these 7 editions come from, or 6, depending on who you ask, is because Messier basically made notes of them in his logs, or he had sketches of them, but he never officially included them in a published edition of his catalog. But basically, the Astronomical Union basically took a look and like, he basically saw them. He has notes of them and or sketches of them in his notes. Why don't we just have them officially labeled as part of his catalog? So M104 through M110 were basically put in after the fact. M110 is a bit controversial still because the only proof that we have that Messier saw is a sketch of M31, because for those of you who don't know, M31 has 2 companion galaxies, one of which is M110. And it was only suggested after the fact, once they saw that sketch, that since he obviously saw it and there's a sketch of it, they should just include it in the catalog. And it's a nice, and besides, 110 is a much cleaner number than 109, so I think it's all worth it. But yeah, there are still people who believe there's only 109 Messier objects, and those are the people who think M110 should be left off because it was not a true Messier object. Now the reason why there's 103 is because the Messier objects, they are numbered in the order of which they were discovered. Thus, the Crab Nebula, which is M1, was the first to be found, and then 103 and so on were discovered last. This is in contrast to catalogs like the NGC catalog, which is after the Messier, is the next biggest deep sky catalog in the sky, where they order their objects in terms of increasing right ascension, which again is basically the equivalent of longitude in the night sky. So starting at 0 and going across, that's how they numbered their objects, whereas the Messiers are just scattered around, which is why you see scenarios like in Scorpius, you've got M4, which is a globular cluster right next to Antares, and then a couple degrees away is M80, another globular cluster found years later. But the catalog is pretty extensive in terms of how diverse it is. It's got, as you can see right here, it's got 27 Messier log 27 open clusters, 29 globular clusters, 7 bright nebulas, 4 planetary nebulas, only 1 supernova remnant, oddly enough, 3 what I like to call oddball objects, and then 40 galaxies. Now, real quick, does anybody know what those 3 oddball Messier objects are?
It's double star.
Yeah, 2 stars.
Yeah.
Asterism.
Yes, M40 and M73. Those are the first 2. Well, what's the third? There's one more. I'll give you a hint. It's in Sagittarius. It's like M24 is the third. Because M24 is just a bright patch of Milky Way that Messier basically could have mistaken for a comet because of his bad optics. It's basically the prevailing theory.
Cotton ball.
Yeah, and M40 was because someone else reported that there is a nebula in that spot, and then Messier didn't see it, but logged it anyway just in case. But there wasn't a nebula. It's just a double star. It's not even a true double star. It's an optical double, so it's an illusion. Yeah, M40 is the optical double. Now the Messier object is typically, so the Messier catalog is typically regarded as like a beginner deep sky object. If you're just starting out in astronomy, completing the whole list, the whole catalog is probably like an early goal that many astronomers will aspire to. And most Messier objects are really easy to see. Most of them are visible in binoculars if you got a good enough sky. And I mean, with objects like the Pleiades, which is pictured right here, which is visible from the naked eye, even in the middle of like downtown Norfolk. Like it's no stranger to see why. But even though there's a lot of like easy to see Messiers, there's also a few notoriously that are less difficult to see, like M74, which is very appropriately nicknamed the Phantom Galaxy. It's a face-on spiral in Pisces. It's only magnitude 10, which isn't terrible, but it has a really, really low surface brightness. I've only ever seen it barely from my house, and that's with the 10-inch job. And I typically have to go to Northwest River Park or Cornland in order to like definitively see it in any detail. So you better be hoping that there's a dark sky with no moon if you want to have any shot at seeing this. There's a couple other ones that are tricky. M101, M109 are 2 others that are tricky, but this one is particularly infamous.
Which one is this?
M74.
Can't see the writing.
Oh, this is M74. Yeah, this is still looking good. Let me know if you like need me to like just like zoom in on a certain section because I can.
The contrast is weird on the left.
Okay. All right. But so the Messier objects, again, as I mentioned, all 110 objects can be visible with a telescope about 80 millimeters or about 4 inches in size. Pretty readily too. Again, most can be seen in binoculars. Many of them are easily visible from light polluted areas. Again, I live in a suburban neighborhood in Chesapeake, and I can see them all. Bruce, you finding this boring? I saw you yawn. Just checking to make sure you're okay.
Needs to be here and drink his coffee.
Yeah, maybe you need to be here and drink coffee.
I'm tired. Sorry, you're doing great, Gabriel. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. I'll try to be less boring. Don't worry. But anyways, moving on. again, it's the perfect way to introduce someone to deep sky objects because, again, like most of them are readily accessible, even in small telescopes. And again, as I established in the previous two slides, there's a wealth of variety to be found from like small clusters of stars to huge nebulas. Not to this, no, that's basically the rundown of the Messier catalog and like why exactly like it's so significant to astronomers. And again, most of us in here are pretty well seasoned, so most of us have imaged or viewed them visually, at least them all at some point. I called you well seasoned. It's a polite. I'm being polite about this. But now the challenge becomes, and this is the main subject of the presentation. Also, just saying, Jeremy, like you could have just saved your criticisms for after I was done talking.
That wasn't a criticism, that was a,
Whatever.
Resentful.
It sounded resentful. But yeah. Anyways, before I go off on another tangent, this brings us to the main subject of tonight is going to be about the Messier Marathon, which is basically, so we've all seen at least most of the Messiers, I presume, or at least we've seen a few. The Messier Marathon is basically about observing all 109 or 110, depending on whether you're a purist or not, in one night. And and again, as Bruce and Jeremy also point out, it usually occurs every spring in mid to late March. And now this might seem daunting, especially when you have regions like Sagittarius that are absolutely teeming with objects in this catalog. I mean, this is pulled off of, I forget which map this was. This might be an old version of Stellarium. I'm not sure, but like you can just see there's like a whole bunch of them in this little region. But like just like how you would train for a real marathon, there are ways you can train yourself to prepare for a Messier Marathon as well, just like Rocky does in the movie. Like there are steps you can do to help prepare yourself. But first, why bother putting yourself to all this trouble? Why stay up all night just to familiarize yourself with 110 objects? Well, one, it's a great way to familiarize yourself with the night sky, especially if you're someone who I will not name, who relies on apps to do his observing and is not entirely familiar with not star hopping and stuff. So it's a great way to get to know how to star hop and how to just familiarize yourself with star patterns and constellations, as well as like just like hopping to find an object. It's also a great way to get to know some of the night sky's finest targets. If running this planetary nebula observing program has taught me anything, is that sometimes you might have skipped over objects because you might have not bothered to give them a second thought, and then you actually go to find them, and it becomes a new favorite. And the Messier Marathon is a great way to like check out the Messiers you might have like overlooked or missed, and potentially to find a new favorite. It's also just a great way to just like gather with astronomers and just like get to socialize because like this is a team activity after all. I mean, most of us who will be at East Coast on a clear night will probably try and take a stab at this. So it's just a great way to just like again like just build community with other astronomers who share similar passions to all of us. So there's plenty of reasons why you should do it. I mean, and besides, like we're night owls to begin with. You can just sleep in the following day if you'd like, if being up all night is too much. Now, this brings me to, and I'm sorry if my throat sounds a little scratchy. I am coming off of some congestion by now. So how do you prepare for a run a Messier Marathon? Like, what are the steps you should probably do? Well, timing and location, as you might expect, are very important. Because of the way certain Messier objects are clustered in parts of the sky, again, Sagittarius is very dense, same with Virgo. There are other areas that are largely barren. There's the right time of year to run a marathon is extremely important, especially depending on your latitude. Now, the ideal period, again, and this should also just point out, this all comes from an article that George wrote for the club, for our old newsletter way back in like 2018. So I apologize if some of this information is outdated. I tried to fact check it. It didn't appear to be. That seems pretty timeless, but just I apologize. There's some outdated information in here. So the ideal period specifically runs from March the 16th to March the 30th, at least for us at this latitude in the Northern Hemisphere, which happily coincides right with East Coast Star Party. So this is the perfect opportunity to get to like just attempt to do this. Some things to consider. Good horizon goes a long way in assisting, as some observations, especially early ones, need to be done pretty low in the sky. So if you have an unobstructed, the more unobstructed the view you have, the better chance you'll have at finding them all. Moon phases also plays a significant variable to consider about. This won't be an issue for us at East Coast because we're going on a new moon weekend. Local forecast is a bit trickier. For those of us who were here at the last spring East Coast Star Party, it was cloudy all but one night, and even then, it only cleared up that one night until like later on. So we definitely be watching the forecast and definitely try to pick the best night to do it. Because if it's cloudy out, there's no marathon happening, obviously. And as always, the darker the night sky, the better. I mean, like, you could try to run it in Norfolk. You'd probably get a lot if you have a good telescope, but I don't think you're going to see like M74 or M101, no matter how good a telescope you have, if you're observing in like the middle of downtown Norfolk. Yeah. Yeah. So, some other things you want to know is you want to pick and choose which targets you observe first. There was a list on the article George did on the website. I didn't have it in me to put the entire list in there because I would have spent like 3 hours doing this one slide. But picking order of targets is very important because some objects will set sooner. So it's important to pick your targets. So looks like looks like we lost something. This is M74. I should mention there was a note. There was a label right here, but I guess it disappeared when I sent it to Jeremy and Sean to be put on the flash drive. But anyways, these were the first 6 that George recommended starting with. Because these are the ones, because in March, these are like typically in the fall at their highest in like November. So these will be very low in the sky by the time we get out to observe. So it would probably behoove us to knock these out because otherwise you'd probably be gone and you would miss them. So again, this is M74 and then this is M77. M30, this is Andromeda and its 2 companions, and then Triangulum right over here. So as you notice, we're starting with a couple of the hardest ones to begin with. So I hear that M74 is probably the main reason why people fail because they try to get it early and it's just too bright out to see, or there's just too faint. So this is definitely the wild card to watch for when you're running a marathon. These other ones aren't too bad, but these are the ones if we do one at East Coast, these 6 are the ones you would want to do and to start and prepare yourself for this. There's also some pitfalls you also want to avoid when running marathons, some like don'ts. The temptation would be to go after easier targets first, like brighter targets. But the fainter objects, again, sort of tangential to the last slide I did, will vanish from the sky first. So if they're out and like it's not too bright out, definitely try and prioritize those. Otherwise, they might sink too deep into the haze of the atmosphere and you might not get the chance to see them. As mentioned, Virgo and Sagittarius are absolutely rife with objects. So a good star chat is probably essential when you're scanning those regions of the sky, especially in Virgo. At least in Sagittarius, there's a lot of variety in its targets. So like and plus you got the teapot asterism right there as well, which acts as like a handy reference. But if you're going in the Virgo cluster, sorry, if you're looking in the Virgo cluster, for those of us who are familiar, it's just like endless fuzzies just scattered about with no rhyme or reason, seemingly. So a really good star shot is essential. So it also helps to have a good grasp on just like where everything is before proceeding, like checking where you are in relationship to everything else once you know you have something in particular. But yeah, a good star chart is absolutely a must if you're trying to go deep into Virgo and trying to specifically log every single galaxy in there. The earliest hour of the marathon will dictate whether or not you're successful. So get cracking as soon as you possibly can. Obviously, like the sun will be the final judge of when you actually can start. But just be sure to start in time. I also should have probably mentioned this in the last slide. Usually the last object that people end with is M30 in Capricornus, which will typically rise just before sunrise. So the last hour is also important as well to get everything. So just Because like when you're in the middle of the night, like it's like, you can go at a bit more of a leisurely pace because like again, like you gotta wait for the sky to catch up with you sometimes if you're like Ken and I. So no offense to everyone, like I always take anyone can do this. Like it doesn't have you don't have to rush through this. You can take your own time in doing this. This is not like a competition or anything, like a real marathon. It's just something to just check off a bucket list. So now some dues for running a Messier marathon. Having a good start chart in hand again is really important. It'll help for especially mainly Virgo and Coma, but also with objects like that might be far from like reference stars. I know one that's pretty tricky to find without a star chart is M102 because it's like way out in the middle of Draco, like northeast of the Big Dipper. So that's probably one that you would want to have an atlas for to help you out with. And then of course, assuming you don't have a go-to telescope, in which case you don't need a star chart at all. You can just push some buttons and just it'll do the work for you. You can collab with other astronomers. You can co-op with them to try and find all 110 objects. You don't have to do it solo if you don't want to. Like if you want, like let's say George and Ben want to team up with it to do it one night and try to find them all. They don't have to do them on their own time. Like if they want, they can just work together to do it. Because like you can train for a marathon with other people too. So like it can be the same thing here. And this is probably a really important one. Planning ahead. If you familiarize yourself with the Messier catalog more and where they all are in the night sky, and it also helps if you have prior experiencing like finding them in a telescope, but you'll have a much easier time with that if you already have like done your research when you find them on marathon day. Again, this is probably just like all just like review for most of us because most of us have been in this hobby for a very, very long time. But again, this is just for the people who just might not be aware of this. But yeah, planning it, but like as of anything, planning ahead will help you a lot when you're trying to find trying to do all 110 in one night. Because
To add to that, in planning ahead for this, I Googled Messier Marathon and George's thing for this shows up and it gives the list of what order you should be going in.
Yeah.
I actually printed it out as a 2-page printout, front and back, and which I will bring copies of to the party.
Yeah, you posted it in the Facebook chat, I believe.
Yeah.
And we can probably get it uploaded to the club.
Yeah.
Files.
Yeah, that was actually something I was going to suggest at the end was that like if people can like again it's an older article. I think it's from like 2018 when it was written. So, but like it's Patrick, you want to say something?
No, just a question. So is that article, does it talk about pace? Does it say first hour you gotta find 10 objects?
I didn't see a pace thing. I just said this is the order you want to view them in.
The order, it's built in what he's saying. It starts with 7-4. That's the one that's gonna separate. You're gonna start with the one. If you do it in that order, you're already.
Yeah.
I think my question really is the first 2 hours seem to be the critical spot, right?
Yeah, like the first couple hours are like the point where like again, it's really the first hour where you observe because those fall galaxies are some of the trickiest to view and they'll be the first to set. So
Is that like 15 objects or 10 objects? Or
once you get past M74 and 77, the rest are high enough in the sky to where it's not as big of a deal. Yeah. Once you get past
In an hour.
Yeah, that's actually a good thing to do. Try and get 10 an hour. That is also something you can do. You can pace yourself. Like if you want to do like 10 an hour, you can. Or if you just want to go for them all at the same time.
Well, some of them are so groups are close together, you'll have to go bang, 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 and then there'll be some time to rest. And then you have to go bang, bang, bang again, then some more resting time, and then near the end, near sunrise, you better be really on your toes.
Yeah. Yeah, because you have Sagittarius right there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, let me add one more caveat to this. Don't get complacent. Don't get complacent. I mean, you can get complacent. Just don't get complacent for a long period of time, because again, like as George mentioned, like most Messiers aren't like just like in one. It's like evenly distributed. There'll be like large groups and like periods with just like a couple and like for like a large swath, and then there'll be like a massive clump of them all in a tight space. So like use those moments to rest, but always be just watching the sky to see when like let's say you just got through Virgo and you're just taking a moment to just rest a little bit. Like once you see like Scorpius and like Ophiuchus starting to peak above the horizon, like that's probably when you should probably like get back on that horse and just keep observing, because otherwise like because there's a lot in the summer sky that you needs to be seen. And we don't, and unless we absolutely, unless it's just there's no other option, like we all want to like just do like a full proper all 110 in one night. Yes.
Don't be obsessive about these. Those are some of the most beautiful objects in the sky. Spend a little time staring at them.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I was actually just about to say this, but like again about this tangentially to pacing yourself. Like obviously you probably wouldn't want to like take 5 minutes oogling over like M40 or anything, because it's just a double star, not a really good one at that if you ask me. But in the case of like M42, like the Orion Nebula, that's probably one where you'd want to spend some more time observing. Like try to bake in time for like the really like the showpiece Messiers, like the ones that you know are like the fan favorites that everybody loves, and just take a moment to appreciate them. Like you can take breaks that way as well. It doesn't have to just be like bang, 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 bang from every single time you see something. Because astronomy isn't just about checking off boxes; it's about appreciating these objects as well. Just yeah.
It's one of the reasons the Astronomical League has two programs for Messier, binoculars and regular telescoping. And it says Messier marathons are not a good way to do those observing programs because you're not going to be able to appreciate them, not going to be able to record them. But it is a fun thing to do.
Yeah. Like it's like if you've already like if you're an astronomical veteran like most of us are, you've already probably like oogled over like a lot of the good ones at plenty of times. Like this is just a chance to like just like try something different. So yeah. So we've come to no, we've covered the do's and don'ts and like some just things to watch out for. Sometimes though things happen, and if all else fails, like you'll still have experienced a fun evening with your fellow astronomers, all of whom are just as passionate as you are. So like there's always a silver lining. Like you might not complete the marathon, like be it due to weather or just bad timing or bad horizons. Like you'll still, odds are you'll find something new, something that you've never seen before, even if it's just something in one of these objects. And even if the weather's clear and you just miss an object and you just decide that you're just not interested in doing this anymore, you can just turn to a normal night of observing. Nobody's stopping you from pivoting if you're just not in the mood to run it. And this also, just as an aside, nobody's forcing you to do a Messier marathon at East Coast Star Party. We're not going to come up to you with like a stick to your head and be like, you must run it. You're perfectly in your own rights. You do not have to do it. You can just totally just have a normal night of observing if you want. You do not have to run a Messier marathon. Yeah, you go to bed early if you want to. Yeah, nobody's stopping you from just going to bed at 9 o'clock if you're just not in the mood to just do this. Yeah. And in the event that the weather's bad, like it was last spring, and like the skies are cloudy all 3 nights, and there's no shot that it happens, then there's always next March. There's always next spring to do it. And you never know, like maybe next spring it's clear and you can spend all the skills you've learned just applying it for the next time. Because it's not like Messier Marathon's like a once in a generation thing. It's like every spring. So like even if this time like it doesn't work out, there will always be next time. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Sorry about the title. I couldn't resist. Yeah. If you ask me, I'm totally not qualified to say this because I haven't done one myself, but I feel like this is the sort of thing that every serious astronomer should run at some point. Because again, like most of us at this point are well versed with the Messier catalog and like what exactly it entails. So this is an opportunity for us to just try and like push ourselves and push like our sky finding abilities to the test, like our star hopping abilities to the test. Yes, it's a daunting prospect trying to do all 110 in a single night, and it's not easy. I mean, again, like M74, first thing you gotta find. But the rewards of such a venture are amazing. But like any activity in this hobby, again, it might not end in success. I mean, that is the sad truth about this. Like for every good night of observing, there's one, maybe two cloudy nights of observing. But if the end of it does succeed, it's going to be amazing to feel knowing that you've actually went ahead and run this. But that's all I have. This is the link to the article I mentioned where it talks about it in more detail. Are there any questions? Any other questions?
Comment.
Hmm?
For people that are new to the hobby, because you all hear the Messier as a beginner's list and stuff like that. And after completing most of those, pretty much all of them, you're always looking for something to do next. And like I looked at the Caldwell object. Well, I thought that was a terrible list. I didn't like the Caldwell list. But then there's a club out, I think it's in Arizona, called Cigarro List. That's a good list. And Stephen Mira's Hidden Treasures list is a good list.
Yeah, there's also the Herschel objects, the Herschel 400.
That's hard.
But I mean, it's hard, but like there are some really good ones in that you can also observe. Well, after the Messiers, you're just there's always going to be some tough nuggets to crack in any of the catalogs you pick, be it the Cadwells or the Herschels.
Well, I was talking about when you're looking for more good things.
I mean, you can always just go on like this. You can always just go on like Sky and Telescope, and to see like these are like the best objects to view at this time of year or in this constellation, because that'll likely give you pointers. Because like if let's say if you're in Perseus, you're trying to do this, you'll see like the double cluster or or Algol come up as well. Patrick, you got something?
Just a question, like, the badge or something you get for doing all 110 out there?
You'll get Kent and I's admiration.
You'll make them so happy.
That actually isn't a bad idea, honestly. Maybe I should do that.
So there are two astronomical league programs, one for binoculars and one for regular telescopes. It specifically suggests not doing a marathon to get them. I don't think there's anything astronomical league related to for getting a Messier Marathon, but that's a neat idea.
They don't allow you to use a go-to.
They don't.
No.
No, I guess.
No, you gotta start hop.
That's why I got a regular.
Got a real quick question.
Yep, Jeff.
This is for the group. Slide 13, what's the globular cluster in slide 13? I know that, but
Oh, you know that image?
I know it, yeah. Go ahead, flip it to 13.
Oh, let me go back. So Jeff is asking which glob this is.
It's like M113.
Nope.
113. I don't know an M113.
Oh, that's not it.
13.
Yes, it's M13 on the 13th slide. I'm happy you caught that.
I see how I recognize it. There's a propeller right here. 3-bladed propeller. See?
Oh yeah.
I thought it was Omega Centauri.
It took me a while to see it, but yeah.
Omega Centauri is not a Messier.
No, I mean, if you lived in, I guess if you lived in Chile, it would be.
I think you may have had a question on the chat, Gabe.
Hold on, let me go ahead and chat. Okay, it was just Bruce saying,
Not for the certificate.
just Bruce commenting.
Hey, Gabe, I have a question. If you do a Messier Marathon using GoTo, does that make you less of a man?
I mean, no, honestly, no, because we all do this hobby in different ways. So, like, if you want to do it with a go-to telescope, that's totally fine by me. We all have our own strengths and our own weaknesses.
But some of us don't have manual scopes.
Yeah, none of us have manual scopes. Like, if you like, you only got a go-to. That's better than nothing. So, like, you're not gonna be less of a person if you ask me.
You can still,
If you're brave enough, you just push it manually. If you're brave enough.
Oh, that's true. I could just use a few buttons.
Okay.
There was also a question, what's the burden of proof for these? So there's the Astronomical League, most programs, it's going to vary program by program what you need to have in there, but usually you're going to record the date, the time, your location, seeing, transparency, and then a discussion of what's there, sometimes a sketch. Each program is going to differ, but that's kind of a general one with, there's a lot of different templates for what an observing record is going to look like. I tried printing out a whole bunch of them, bringing them to the last East Coast Star Party, used 0 of them, they just got soggy, and had a good time anyway. So,
All right.
There's an urban observation program that's good for people starting.
There is, and there's also the Universe Sampler, which is an even lower tier one. We have the On our website, under our BBAA files, there's a link to a Google sheet that I put together that has links to all of them and uses the Astronomical League's own grading scheme for beginner, intermediate, and advanced observing programs, as well as calling out what sort of equipment it's recommended that you try and use for it, and any special rules. It's a great place to try and consolidate. It's, man, going to the Astronomical League one and just going trial and error to find the right program for you is a bit of an adventure. So if you have a desire, send me, I think if you click on it, it'll send me a request to share it with you. Happy to do so.
All right, are there any other questions real quick?
I'd like to make a comment. I've got at least 3 books at home on Messier marathons. Well, the best one is called
The best one is called George Exhaling Loudly.
This one is, I can't remember the name of it. My mind just went blank. Anyway, but Jonathan just did the Lunar Award. When I first started out in astronomy back 25 years ago, I tried finding all the Messier marathon or Messier objects, not the Messier marathon, but trying to find Messier objects. I did not find those faint fuzzies. So I decided to find things that I could see. The moon. So I got the Lunar Award, 100 objects on the moon, and that sort of started the ball rolling. And within the club, everybody started getting astronomical league awards.
The good thing about that one is you can do it when the moon is up. You can't see anything else.
That's all I'm looking at tonight.
That's why I did it.
What's that?
It's gotta be close. The thin wall. Anybody track that? Gotta be getting close.
Gotta be pretty close to first board.
I did get the Lunar 2 award also. It should be. I do better 2 also.
We should a couple times, maybe
First
tomorrow.
time, I don't know.
So Bruce is commented that Ted Forty, who was an old member, who's the current member who lives out in Arizona right now, he did about 70 objects in his first marathon, which he did in Virginia in the 90s. And then he also did an extreme version in CoinJob, where he didn't use a map or a list what to find them.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Yeah, he had to do it all by memory, and he found apparently 50 objects that night.
I choose life.
All right. All right.
Well, I mean, we're all probably a little bit crazy.
All right.
Maybe lunatics.
All right. All right. If there are no other questions, I am going to hand the floor back to Jeremy.
All right. Thank you. Hey folks, I know we're a little bit over. I apologize for that, but we do actually have one additional item for tonight, and that is the door prize drawing. This particular month, we got a company called Celeste something or other.
Cosmic Shards.
Cosmic Shards did a Kickstart recently. I saw, and they have stargazing cards aligned with the Messier objects, and included it. You didn't get a ticket. Did anyone not get a ticket? All right, so let's get 2 more tickets out there. Specifically, it includes a index card that has images and data on each of those, and each of the Messier objects, as well as a checklist, kind of, for the ideal time to do them. So, or the ideal order, they're divided up by time of the year, so that, if you don't want to try and do a marathon, you can still find out what to do. So, tonight's winner is 018. 018.
18.
18? Excellent. All right. Enjoy. All right, well, folks, it is just, that one's just the Messier objects. That's all we have programmed for tonight. Before we adjourn, I'll just mention, I know some people were asking if they had already signed up for the East Coast Star Party. In one case, the answer is definitely yes. But if anyone else is interested in just confirming that they signed up, feel free to see me after, and I can confirm that by checking you off the list right now. Other than that, if anyone has anything, otherwise I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
No, we're staying.
Oh, I hear, it looks like moved and
George got coffee,
seconded.
we're staying.
That's fair. Any discussion? No? Great. All in favor of adjourn?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. If anyone has desire for